Good morning, everybody. This is Cassie Stimmo. I am the marketing specialist here at EAC. We'll start off today with a quick introduction of EAC, and then PTC's application engineer, Anthony Garner, and EAC's technical account manager, Kurt Peterson, will be presenting to us on easy and secure access to enterprise data for the casual Windchill user. Everyone gets a recording of this session pending any technical difficulties. Please feel free to ask questions along the way and we'll answer them after the presentation. First off, I will tell you a little bit about who we are. At EAC, our mission is to transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. We are not only a value-added reseller for PTC, but we're the #1 solutions provider for PTC in the country, with experts in 22 areas of product development. We're located all over the U.S. with our headquarters moving shortly to Minneapolis. We offer our customers everything they need for product development, such as Creo CAD software for product design, service lifecycle management software for managing service documentation, and software that helps you manage your product data, such as Windchill, and ThingWorx Navigate, and our customizable EAC productivity apps, which we'll have the pleasure of showing you today. We help you to implement IoT and AR business strategies to jumpstart initiatives around digital transformation and connecting all things in your company. We assist with design and engineering projects like FEA, simulation, reverse engineering, and proof of concepts for our customers. We offer webinars and PTC certified training courses for continuous learning as well. And then this last slide here, we also are a commercial reseller for Formlabs, offering their latest products in 3D printing. The Form 3 is now available with packages starting as low as $34.99. So I know that was a lot, but please keep us in mind. We have solutions to help your organization save time and money throughout the product development process. Thanks for taking the time to listen to who we are. I will hand things over to Anthony so he can get started.
Thanks, Cassie. So my name is Anthony Garner. I am a virtual pre-sales engineer here at PTC's Virtual Center of Excellence. And what we're going to be going through today is our ThingWorx Navigate offering. And ThingWorx Navigate is a suite of role-based applications allowing you to bring together information from multiple sources, including Windchill and other sources. I'll be showing you some of the out-of-the-box functionality before I pass it over to Kurt to show you simply EAC's apps for ThingWorx. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, I'm just going to start with some of the challenges that has ultimately prompted PTC to develop this solution. One of the big ones are the problem of information silos. So in modern day corporations and modern day companies, there's a lot of information flowing around, getting to the point of zettabytes of information, and they are all siloed in different places and ultimately disconnected from each other, whether that be in some cloud system, it's on someone's hard drive, if it's on basically somewhere that's very inaccessible or very inefficient to access. And ultimately, it's no longer the case where it's just engineers who need access to this information. This information needs to be spread out through the entire enterprise for everyone to be there doing their job at the utmost efficiency. And ultimately, these information silos go a single level deeper when we get to the actual applications that are containing these informations. And it's ultimately usually the case that these applications don't talk well with each other, they don't play well together. So it becomes a matter of kit bashing in order to get these information ultimately where they need to be going. And like I was saying before, it's now the case that it isn't just engineers who need access to this information at the end of the day. You have product managers, marketing professionals who need access to this information, and they don't have readable access to it in order to actually go about their day-to-day activities with the most efficiency and being the value-added assets they ultimately need to be. Some of these problems ultimately can be solved by using a well-built PLM system, but that does come with its own set of challenges. Specifically, the actual nature of optimization, because ultimately most PLM interfaces aren't customized or optimized towards the use of everyone. It's a single what you see, what you get, and you have to have the ability and have to have the aptitude to be able to go through your PLM system in order to gather all the information that you need at a single place. And that's not necessarily feasible for simply the casual user, someone who goes weeks or months at a time without having access or without the need to access that PLM system. So in order for them to get the information that they ultimately need to do the job that they're being paid to do, they need to tap an engineer on the shoulder for a quick refresher on how to go about this PLM system, which ultimately is taking time out of the engineer's day for them to ultimately help them get back up to speed. And some of these can be mitigated with the customization of your PLM interface, but ultimately that customization is costly. It requires you to pay a good bit of smart people to do what smart people do, and ultimately it takes more time that they could probably be using as a value add where there's opposite solutions that are available. In this particular case, the opposing solution would be Windchill Navigate. And like I was saying before, ThingWorx Navigate is a suite of role-based applications to allow you to gather information quickly and efficiently as possible. It presents you with the proper amount of information, no more where you're only going to get confused and not understand the best practices, and no less still allowing you to do your job at the best ability. So the applications, specifically the out-of-the-box applications I'm going to be showing you today, come in mainly three categories. There are the applications that gather the information on the parts, specifically the parts within the Windchill system that this is ultimately attached to. This is going to be coming with a Windchill view license, giving you the ability to view the information from its connected Windchill system. On the second line, we have our apps for our document information, and the final one is apps that have been built to gather custom information. One of these applications, which is that download drawing bundle app, is a out-of-the-box application, whereas any other custom application that you're adding to your Navigate system would also fall under this specific category. And here's just the naming of all of our out-of-the-box applications. So go into some of our capabilities with your Navigate system. It's easy to search, navigate, filter, and view all of this information. It presents all this information that's very easy to digest and very easy to work around dashboard to get all the information that you need to have at any certain time. It is ultimately a modern, scalable user experience, giving you the ability as your business case changes, as your business use case changes, as our information bring in, it'll still function as well as whenever you started with the minimum amount of information you really started with. And it provides an interoperability layer for all your other applications. Navigate is built on ThingWorx, which is our industrial Internet of Things platform. So it allows you to connect up other applications, not just your Windchill system, but also things such as a ALM system, your PLM system, of course, or even an ERP system if necessary. And like I was saying before, it provides a dynamic connection to multiple systems of origin. As you can see, all of those different types of sources connecting to our Navigate system through that interoperability layer of ThingWorx allows for you to bring that all into one usable single dashboard as necessary. And it is tailored to deploy those applications quickly. So you have the ability to view this not only while we're going to be viewing it today through a web browser. I'm going to be specifically using Firefox, but it also works just as well on phone and tablet as ultimately those scale as necessary. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to be moving on to showing you the actual service itself. So here, this is our initial splash page for Navigate. This is where we're going to come to whenever we first log in through whatever means we're going to look at this. I'm currently logged in as Pat, the product manager, who is a super user within both our Windchill system and our Navigate system. So I can also show you all of our applications, everything we're currently looking at here. So first, we're going to start with our suite of part-based applications, and we're going to start with our view design file application. And this is where we have the ability to search for those parts from within our Windchill system and bring them up directly as we see necessary and download the design files that are ultimately associated with this. So here, I'm just going to type in 4 digits of a part number, so 1823. And for any Windchill veterans in the room, you'll notice I didn't need to use a wildcard. I could just search those 4 digits. It's going to bring me up ultimately a presumption of that wildcard. And here we're going to take a closer look at this ski for our snowmobile set that we're snowmobile data set that we're working with. So here, once we come to our view design file from here, we can see our high-level information being brought in over from our connected Windchill system. So we have our part number, our name, our version, our state right there from Windchill. We can also view this information directly from our Windchill system by simply going through this hot link. And from this breadcrumb trail here, these are all of our part applications that we have existing. So any of these applications you saw initially on the splash page, I can click onto them, click onto these breadcrumb trail, and it will bring up that specific application in context with this specific part. And as we can see here, this is all the associated design files that exist in association with this part that I just brought up. I can either download them individually and look at them as I need to, or I can download them all as one single zipped up file and work from them from my desktop as necessary. Moving to our right, this is where we're going to view our drawing file, and this is how we're going to get our actual engineering drawing for this part itself. It's initially set for us now to open it up as a PDF file, but you also have the option to open this up as a PLT file, ultimately what works best for you. So I'm just going to give it a second to load. So up here we have our automatically generated engineering drawing along with our block giving us all of our information along with the visualization being brought in from Windchill and placed directly into this. You can download as necessary, print it out, whatever you ultimately need to specifically from that point there. Okay, now if we move along here, this is where we can view and measure in 3D, and this is what's going to bring up our Creo View Lite program. And Creo View Lite is a lightweight representation and annotation tool that comes with every offering of Windchill. Therefore, it comes with every offering of Ultimately Navigate. So I'm just going to click on opening this up in Creo View Lite. And before I can do that, I have to add my credentials to prove that I have the proper access to be viewing this. So PTC. Okay. And now I'm just going to select and highlight all the parts so I can bring up a visualization for all these objects. So this visualization, there we go. This visualization is ultimately CAD agnostic. I don't care what CAD tool was used to create this, whether that be Creo Parametric or SolidWorks. I have the ability to bring down this visualization and work with it as necessary. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can rotate it as I see fit. And if I click on it, I'm going to bring up a lot of high-level information coming specifically from our Windchill system to actually populate for me to take a closer look. So this allows for someone who doesn't have necessarily the authoring tool that was used to generate this CAD geometry to still be able to view and annotate as necessary onto it. So if I come to our tool section here, actually to our markup section here, apologies, this is where we can actually create any sort of notes or markups directly on the visualization that we're looking at here. And ultimately, this is still geometrically accurate to the CAD that was used to generate it. So if I were to say create a length callout for this object here, so let's go here, it's going to bring me the exact geometrically accurate length to the CAD information that's ultimately using to generate this. Another important ability that we have from Creo View is the ability to create a section. So here I can simply hit View Section, and we can also show a 2D view. And here I can view a simple two-dimensional section of this entire ski from any point that I would see necessary. And that's what you'll get once you open up this with your view and measure in 3D application. So exit out of that, don't need to save our annotation set. Moving on here, this is our viewing our part properties, and this is just bringing in more high-level information from the Windchill part that we have in our Windchill system. So now it's bringing us our created by, when it was created on, last modified, and ultimately this information, these additional attributes that we're bringing in are customizable and configurable to whatever information you think you need to see whenever you view this particular application. Our next app is going to be our view part list, and our part list is mainly a list of pretty much every part in a hierarchical structure. So anything I select from our part list here, so let's say our carbide part right here, this is going to bring up this small highlight window from our actual Windchill system. So it's going to bring up the actual number, the name, version, basically all the high level information from our Windchill state. And if I wanted to, I can simply view it in Windchill, very similar to our higher level part. And from here, I can also view any drawing files that are ultimately associated with this, and I can export this entire part list to my computer as I ultimately necessary. And the last application in our parts list that I'll show you is our view part structure. And this is more or less bringing in all of the information we looked at in the previous applications together in one convenient place. So here I have a 3D view from which I can zoom in, zoom out, a actual visualization that's being driven in a very similar way to our view and measure in 3D application. The only real difference is I can't create those annotations and sectioning like I could within our Creo View Lite. And in our part structure, this is where I can do very similar to our previous application, cross highlight anything from our visualization. So if I were to say, select on this center rod here, it's going to bring it up in our part structure, and it's also going to bring up that selected part in that Windchill preview window. And from that Windchill preview window, I can also view this directly in Windchill as necessary. So that was all of our part applications. So now we're just going to move on to our document collection applications here. So first one we're going to look at here is simply our view document, which is going to allow us to search for any of the documents that exist in our Windchill system, very similar to our initial part search that we were looking at before. So here I'm going to search MSDS, and that's going to bring up all of the results that ultimately match up to that thing. So here we have our master document for our MSDS released. And very similar to our initial part of view, we have our Brickham trail of all of our applications that exist for our documentation. Here we have our high-level additional attributes, so our number, our name, our state, our version, and of course these are all configurable to bring in what information you ultimately need, along with a couple more high-level information directly from Windchill. And if we view it to our document structure, this is where we can see the documents that exist in a hierarchical fashion. So any documents that are rolling up are nested under this top level document. I can go directly in and view. So if I say select this Polaris document here, I can either, as we can see here, I've been brought in another Windchill preview window, so I can view all of the relevant information coming from our Windchill system. I can either view this in Windchill, going directly to the Windchill system, or I can open this document and open this up as a PDF to take a closer look at it as necessary. Okay. And now that is all of our document applications that I will show you very briefly. I do have the ability to edit the application that are ultimately showing because I'm Pat, the product manager. So I am a super user within our system. We have designated me to have the ability to determine who sees what based on the role that they're actually being tailored for. So here I can select which role I'm tailoring for. So currently we only have 3 selections listed under here. So our administrators, our manufacturer, or purchasing. So I can control what our manufacturing role sees. I can determine the actual maximum search results, the maximum recent searches, whatever I think ultimately will be most appropriate for the person of that specific role to be actually looking at. And here, this is where we can actually edit and control the attributes that we're seeing. So currently, we have our name, our number, our state, our version as the additional attributes that are going to come up. But I can also say bring in the actual authoring language, whether or not it's collapsible, its context, whether the product context coming from Windchill, its cost status, any of these information I can bring over to our selected attributes, and then that information will appear in our results under that specific object. Here, this is where we can define whether or not we want to display our Windchill link if we don't want the possibility of them going into Windchill and possibly getting more confused. If that's something that we don't think is necessary, we can simply click no, and that Windchill link will no longer appear. And we can ultimately define what object types are found. So the part, our CAD document, or if it's a part and a CAD document, show partial matches. All this information is ultimately configurable to the actual role. So however you define the information that needs to be viewed by that role, you have the ability to edit as necessary from here. And the final one down here is we can control what application this role specifically sees. So if, for example, I don't think they need to be able to view and measure in 3D using Creo View Lite, I can remove that application from the settings that they're ultimately seeing. Okay. So now we're just going to move to our custom task collection here, and the out-of-the-box application that we offer with our Windchill system simply is this download drawing bundle application. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to add in multiple part numbers. So here I can add in 5 part numbers. Then it's going to generate essentially a zip file for you to either download all of those drawing bundles individually, or you can download them all as one single zip file as necessary. So that is the out-of-the-box custom application that comes with that. And just to show you a bit of the art of the possible, I'm just going to walk you through a custom application that was built for demonstration purposes of Windchill. Demonstration purposes for Navigate. And ultimately, the purpose of this application is to take both Windchill information along with information being fed in from an ERP system. So if I, again, search for a object, so say 1823 again, it's going to bring up my part structure, very similar to the part list we were looking at before, along with a interrogatable visualization, and it's still cross-highlightable between our visualization and our object. So anything I select here is going to bring up through our system here. And if I select on our top level, because that's for which we have ERP information related to, I'm going to get my version, my name, and my state being brought in from my Windchill system along with our thumbnail. But I also have my target cost, my database cost, and my total components cost coming in from an ERP system. So with Navigate, you have the ability to take information from multiple sources and combine them together in a single dashboard. So this is only one part of this specific custom application, just to show you the art of possible. The other is our bill of materials cost roll-up application here. Okay. So this one specifically is for taking multiple different types of bill of materials, multiple possible or prospective bill of materials, and comparing them together to figure out which one ultimately works best for you. So here, as we can see, we have that same table from our initial ERP application, but the difference main here is now we have our smart graphs to our right, which is also cross-highlightable in the same way that visualization was. So anything I select in our table here is going to highlight that bar to our right, and vice versa. Any of these bars that I select on our right is going to highlight to our left, making it easy to see visually what's costing us the most, what's costing us the least, what do we need to take a closer look at. And the same way that we can go directly to the actual URL within Windchill, we can simply hit the view and go directly to that object in Windchill to take a closer look. If we expand this to our lower left, this is where we can actually start to build out an actual possible bill of material and start comparing it to another one. So here I'm just going to make up a couple numbers. So assembly salary 154, overhead 25, profit 200, transportation 320. So we're going to calculate our total cost. And it's going to bring up a pie chart, basically bringing out all the information along with that table here. And as we hover over any of those slices of our pie, that's where we're going to see what's taking up the most and what's taking up the least, and an easy visual way to view all the information that we ultimately need to be looking at. And from here, I can basically name this as a build of some kind, add any sort of comments. I can also export this as a CSV file for me to interrogate further as I think necessary, add any sort of Excel formula that I think will actually help. Anything of that, I can basically export this as a CSV along with our initial table, giving both our ERP results along with our actual bar graph itself. But if we move over to our history, this is where we're going to have the ability to view these different BOM costs that we actually are creating out here. So here we have different prospective bill of materials that we built out here, along with the lower table and that same cross-highlightable visualization for each of those bill of materials. And from here, I can actually compare these records directly to each other. So here I have my initial P1 build versus a separate earlier build. And if I come to our totals, this is where I can compare them essentially bar to bar for our actual cost. So here we can see our total materials are the same, but our assembly salaries are different. I can now further interrogate if necessary, figure out why we are now paying our assemblers less or more, figure out if that's the proper thing to do, and then take this information and move about my day and still add more value-added capacities from there. And here from our overhead and all of that. Also, we can compare them directly via components to take. We can compare the actual component data, the actual tables as they relate to each other. So here, this is where we're actually comparing the separate ERP costs between each other. And finally, we can get one final summarizing cost differentiation between both our earlier bill of material and this current bill of material. So like I was saying, this was a custom application that was ultimately developed for the art of possible sake, just to show you what can be developed for something like this to allow for you to bring both your ERP information along with your Windchill information in order to create these singular dashboards for you to have a drop of the dime view of all the information you need to be viewing at a certain time, or for you to develop and present this information to whatever role needs to be seeing it at this time. So with that, I will pass it over to Kurt so he can actually show you some of EAC's custom built applications.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony. Kurt, we're passing things along to you. We can see your screen, so you are ready. And you might want to unmute yourself.
You're right. I might want to unmute myself. That's assuming you want to hear me, though, which is a bold step. So thanks to Anthony for walking through those Navigate apps. What we're going to do now is take, because the Navigate apps are configurable and do have flexibility from that ThingWorx Internet of Things platform that it's built on, we're going to go in and we're going to show some of what EAC has done to kind of extend the capabilities of those apps. So just as a kind of a quick, frame of referencing here. So when we look at customers and the issues that they're running into, data accessibility, just like Anthony said, is a universal problem, right? So you've invested a lot, in a PLM system that's managing a bunch of different files, right? You've got drawings, email, associated documents. That's running into a major choke point in engineering, and engineering can't really flow all that information down to all of the people that need it, right? Within the organization and outside of the organization. So the manufacturing engineer can't get the proper drawings. Purchasing doesn't know the proper part numbers for bills of materials that are changing constantly, right? So that's the problem that we're looking to solve here. ThingWorx is the platform that we're choosing to use for this. So, we're calling this Navigate or EAC apps, but really it's built on a platform of connectivity. So other partners and customers are using ThingWorx to monitor remote assets for service and maintenance. They're using it to connect cloud databases. They're using it to connect ERP systems with manufacturing, with PLCs on the floor. So there's a whole host of capabilities. This is just one narrow set within that we're taking a look at today. So what does Navigate do? What does EAC apps do, right, at the core of it? So you're using ThingWorx to provide an easy pane of glass view into your Windchill engineering information in order to disseminate that and flow the data onto the proper resources, the correct people that need to use it and can use it effectively. So EAC productivity apps are our internally developed process that kind of takes the capabilities of the Navigate apps that PTC has built and does more with it, right? So we're looking to do additional value. We're looking to bring additional features to this set that PTC has started for us. The other kind of advantage that we have with EAC apps is because, this really it was born out of a customer need, right? So customers came to us and say, hey, we really like this Navigate product, but we need it to do some more things, right? We need to have A, B, and C. And so we looked at it and we were like, okay, yeah, we can definitely support that. And that's where EAC apps was born from. It came out of that customer need that we were able to fill. Based off of that, moving forward, we are constantly taking feedback from the customers using our apps and customers using Navigate. That's all that feedback is incorporated into the pipeline as our development team improves, and the product is constantly getting updated to reflect that. So if there's a change that you want to see or an ability that you're not really having in the current release, our method has been to take that, and if we hear it from enough customers, we're going to incorporate that into the next release. So a couple of kind of simple cases why you would use productivity apps. Anybody who needs to use Windchill data but doesn't have access to it, doesn't know it, doesn't want to learn the clicks and get to all the different things, doesn't want to be an author of that information, Navigate and EAC apps is a great way to get that information to them without it being very difficult for them to learn how to get that. If you don't have to retrain your operators in Windchill and still get them the information, that's a great benefit to you. The other key advantage that EAC apps really brings is the flexibility of its implementation. So all of these apps that we're going to look at, kind of show you, there's configuration in there, there's customization in there. So exactly the way that you want to see your information flow, you can do that with these apps. So that's kind of my little spiel, and then we'll also poke through. So if you notice, I'm starting right where Anthony kind of left off, right? So we're in Navigate, and we've got all the apps that he kind of talked through, right? So the good, view and design files, drawings, measuring in 3D, pulling up Illustrate, looking at part structures, that's all there, right? If we go to the bottom of this and we take a look at the custom apps, this is where EAC productivity apps are. If it opens for me. So here are the EAC apps, and I'm not going to go through all of them. This is the second major release of the apps that we've done, but I will show you guys a couple of things that I think are pretty neat. So taking a look at our quick access app, there's a couple of different ways that I can look for information. I could type it and select by bill of material name. I could also search just by part number, like Anthony did, and select it via that way. So if you know the part number, you can get it that way. If you just know maybe the system or the bill of material, you can also get at it that way. So once this loads, we take a look at it. We were able to see the assembly that I selected and all of the components within it. So just like we saw with the PTC Navigate apps, there's a couple of different things we can do, right? If you need to pull those drawings, you can easily do that here. So you can get to that. If whatever part documents are associated with this, you can get to that too. And if I hit the download button, right, it's loading right there. Couple of other things on this window. Anthony's demo did a great job of showing how ERP information can be incorporated into the bill of materials documentation that lives within Windchill. This is what we're demonstrating with this as well. So whatever part association we have, we can link that to an ERP or a parts management, right, that would have the cost associated for that. So if you're looking at change and you want to know exactly how much that's going to set you back or cost of change, right, you can incorporate that there. The other really cool thing about this app is that there's workflow that you can start within this, and this is starting to get very powerful. So let's say you're on the manufacturing floor and you're looking at this assembly and you notice that a change needs to be made, right? So some dimensions not lining up, or something fitting with the greater assembly needs to be changed. So you can actually go in and start new workflows within Windchill from this screen. So if I wanted to hit new change request, so I'm noticing something, I want to, change a gasket or whatever, describe the problem, current gasket too small, right? Whatever. I can associate it with some subtype that you define within that, right? So this is a quality issue, it's a medium emergency, I can set a date for it. And then when I hit this submit, it's created this change request. So then if I go still referencing the same part and look at our change requests associated with this, I see that change that I just authored. This is being flowed back to Windchill and stored there so that your engineering can receive that information and start to make the correct changes, right? So that's very powerful and can really aid, if you're having to do rapid development, really helps manufacturing communicate back to engineering and closes the time that's required to really innovate and bring new product to the floor. A very similar process can happen with change reports and variances and things of that nature. If we go back and we look at task management, so where do all of those change requests go, right? So say if you're an engineering manager type and you want to know what all your people are working on, it's kind of hard to do that within Windchill, right? It's not impossible. You can certainly do it, but it's an advanced search. It's probably a couple of advanced searches, and it's just kind of cumbersome. So the intent of this app is to make it very easy to view and organize and track all of the different tasks associated with the parts within your bill of materials. So as an admin, I can not only look at my tasks and open tasks, but I can also look at all of the tasks that have been assigned to anybody and flowed down from there. I can filter in a number of ways, right? So I can filter by qualities on this bar. I can also filter within the pie chart. So if I wanted to look at all the completed work, I click that, and then it's filtered by completed. If I wanted to look at potential or accepted, right, I can do it by there. Also can filter by role. So say if you have a bunch of team members here or a bunch of teams here, right? So engineering, design, manufacturing, whatever, you can also filter by that. So if I wanted to see, you know, who's working on what part and what is in their queue, I can do it by that. If I select one of these, you know, it shows me the parts that's associated here, and then it gives me a comment field. One of the strengths of these apps is that all of these windows that we're seeing, right, these tables, this pie chart, this little blank space is all configurable. So if you wanted to say, see the drawing right here in this little space, you could do that. If you wanted to have, you know, cost information, you could do that. And then the other really powerful part about this is instead of completing tasks within Windchill, I can select this change report right here, hit complete, and then the change is done, right? So that's a very powerful way to do it. So without getting too far into all the other ones, I also wanted to show how these apps are tailorable. So all of these apps, you know, as an admin, I can go in and hit this little edit icon, and that gives me the power to make this app useful to me, right? So now I can alter the views depending what team is using the app. So if I want purchasing to be able to see a certain set of information, be able to access that, I can tailor that within this screen. If I want that to be different than what manufacturing sees, you can do that. If you want to give access to your vendors and be able to give them the ability to go in and download, say, your part drawings when these things are changing rapidly all the time, you know, without sending them an email or a zip file or making it complex that way. If you want them actually to just query the latest revision that's stored within your Windchill, you could make up a screen for them within this window and, you know, limit it so they can only see what they need to see, and then they're able to get that information easily without you even really touching it, right? So a lot of power within these apps and within the customization of these apps. So kind of in summary, you know, that was really quick. It had a lot of information in it, but basically the takeaways that I want you to walk away from is that PTC has created these Navigate apps, which it's a wonderful way for Windchill data to get to maybe a non-Windchill user or a casual Windchill user. And then EAC has taken that and taken it one step further, created some specialty screens, some specialty applications that go, you know, kind of above and beyond the feature set that PTC has built. And we're giving you a little bit more configuration. We're giving you constant updates. We're listening to your feedback and really building the applications that you need. So that's kind of the short and quick and dirty view into EAC apps, and I hope that it was valuable.